Tanner, what do you remember feeling when you made your second big league start at this stadium against Cole?
I mean, I think it was a pretty awesome feeling. I mean, I think obviously major league debut, a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. It was a midweek against the Rockies, and then come here for the second start against the Yankees against Garrett Cole. It was definitely a different feeling. But me and Cole being from the same area was pretty cool. I mean, we had the same college coach too, so it was a pretty awesome feeling.
Other questions for Tanner? Mandy, we'll get you the microphone.
Obviously, it's still the same game, but what do you learn more maybe in this setting now that you have 2 postseason starts under your belt?
I think the nerves go away a little bit, and you can kind of stay within yourself a little more. I think obviously the first one, a lot of adrenaline, first time. I mean, game 1 of the postseason. I mean, it's very, very high energy. Second time, emotions went down a little bit. I mean, I was a little bit off, but I mean, I feel like I battled enough to keep the confidence. And I think game 3, I mean, they say third time's a charm.
Go to the third row on your right, Tyler.
Tanner, you had such a good year, so many starts where you go 6, 7 innings. When it's the postseason and there's a quicker hook, how do you kind of handle that? Do you just sort of accept it, or do you wish you could pitch a little longer? How does it go?
Yeah, I mean, I always want to pitch as long as I can. If I could, obviously, every starting pitcher wants to go 9. They want to go 7, 8, 9 innings. But I think in the postseason, I mean, I don't think there's really much to handle. I mean, we've had a historic bullpen, and my job is to hand the ball to them. My job is to be as stingy as possible, give the ball to all those guys back there that have been the best bullpen in a lot of years.
We'll go on the back with Jeff.
Tanner, what are the specific challenges in pitching to Aaron Judge and Juan Soto in particular?
I mean, obviously they're really good hitters, and it's super challenging. Of course, the park, the atmosphere, it's all super cool, and it's super fun because it's pretty unique for the other 29 stadiums. But I feel like for me, if I just execute what my strengths are and what our plan is, I don't know if it's super outlier. I mean, they are outliers as human beings, but I think for me, you can't look at it like that because we're pretty much coworkers.
Go to the third row on your left, Tanner.
Tanner, given your workload this season, how do you feel your body has held up and going into a game where you're riding a lot of momentum? Do you feel your training has gotten you to this moment the way you hoped it would? Yeah, I mean, body's holding up pretty well. I think usually when I step on that rubber, usually a lot of those body feeling bad is erased by adrenaline. But I mean, I think this is a personal record of innings for me by like 30 or something like that. So the body's holding up pretty well.
Oh, right up front, Ron.
Before your start here, were you aware of the short porch, or did Volpe's shot wake you up to that? And do you have to pitch somewhat differently at times because of it?
I mean, I think everyone in baseball is aware of the short porch. It's talked about a lot. But I mean, I don't think Volpe's shot really in that game really woke me up to it. I mean, we get to hit on it too. Yeah. So it's not necessarily an advantage for them or us or whatever. It's just, it is what it is. It's our 9 against their 9 in that game.
No, I meant more like, do you pitch a little differently in certain circumstances?
Oh,
No,
because they still gotta square up my stuff just as much as I either miss their bats or get weak contact. I mean, if they hit it out that way, they hit it out that way. I mean, it is what it is. People were saying we had wind tunnels too, so it's kind of the same thing.
Other questions for Tanner? Am I missing anybody? All right, Tanner, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
So Soto's been really good against Alex Cobb. In your experience, whether it's as a manager or as a catcher, what's the best way to kind of approach that matchup? Because it would seem to be an interesting question as far as how aggressive versus how careful you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Juan Soto's pretty good off a lot of pitchers, and but for Alex, it's just be yourself. Attack him with your strengths. We can do all the scouting reports we want. We can dive into all we want, but it comes down to executing pitches and making pitches against one of the best hitters in this league. So Alex knows it's going to be a tough matchup. There's a lot of them.
Go to Tyler in the row behind.
Hey, Stephen. When did you know that you had a bullpen that would be this dominant, and what are some of the traits that make it so dominant?
I mean, I think coming out of spring training, we didn't know. You know, we lost Trevor Steffen and James Karinchak at spring training, so we lost our 7th and 8th inning guys from last year. And so we had a lot of guys that had never been out there before. But we saw the stuff at spring training. We saw what these guys are capable of throwing the ball. And then it just seemed over the course of the first few months, no matter what position we put any number of our guys out in the bullpen in, they all got outs and they all did their job. And, you know, we kind of knew about midway through May, early June, that this was a really special group out there. They've got really good stuff and they attack. They're not afraid of the strike zone.
We've seen bullpen games work, you know, this postseason for LA, although not today. Detroit, you guys. What makes a bullpen game an effective strategy?
I think if you have enough coverage and you have the right types of pitchers, you can match up with each lineup. And I think it doesn't necessarily work just for any team. You know, if you have a team that's, you know, one way or the other, maybe match up heavy, or you find a 3-4 batter pocket for each pitcher, it's a lot easier to ask one guy to get 4 outs than maybe one guy to get 20 outs. But again, we've seen them work, we've seen them not work. It's just, it depends on the matchup throughout the day.
Go to the third row with Ryan.
For you guys to be successful in this series, how important is being aggressive on the base pass? It seems to be part of your identity. I think you're 5th in the majors in stolen bases.
Yeah, I think that's who we are. You know, we have to play baseball. We're a baseball team. We need to make things happen. We're running, bunting, putting the ball in play. We run the bases hard. You know, we don't assume anything's over. That's how we've gotten here. We've gotten here by putting pressure on the other team, and that's who we are.
Go to the fourth row with Gabe.
Hey, Stephen. You talked yesterday about the off day enabling your bullpen to have the bullets for Game 5 against Detroit. Now you have another off day, and theoretically they're reloaded again. But I guess how mindful of you are you of the cumulative effect of October and going series to series and the number of pitches these guys are racking up?
Yeah, very aware. Very aware. I mean, we asked a lot of our bullpen the last week, and so going into today, we know that they've got a lot of bullets that they've used. But these guys work hard. They're strong. We're going to approach each game like we have all year, and let's win today, and we'll worry about tomorrow. At the same time, we're very mindful of the workload that our guys have had. So maybe we can't overextend anybody, nor do we want to.
Do a couple more for Stephen. Ron?
The roster move that you made, was it directly related to the bullpen usage against Detroit? And what are some of the other moves you considered but decided not to make?
We talked through a lot of different options. We have a number of pitchers that could have been added to the roster. We knew we wanted to do 13 and 13. And, for us, we've had a number of guys step up and been great. And these conversations are not easy. They're not fun. But just adding Pedro to the bullpen, he has the ability to throw a lot of pitches back-to-back days and give us some length at times. So we went around and around a lot, and we left some very, very good people off this roster. And that's unfortunately what happens this time of year.
Two more for Stephen, Andrew, and then we'll finish with Tyler.
You were traded in the middle of the season in 2021. Is it difficult to be traded in the middle of the season? And then how do you think that Lane Thomas has handled just the transition from coming to a new ball club and assimilating to the clubhouse?
Yeah, it's very difficult to get traded in season. You have your roots down, your family's there, you know what life looks like in the city where you're playing, and then you have to go to a new one where you're meeting all new teammates, all new coaches. You're living in a place you don't really know where anything is, and sometimes it can take somebody a little while to get comfortable. And for Lane, it just took that. It took a couple weeks for him to really come into his own, but our clubhouse welcomed him right away and made him feel like a part of the team. And Lane is the player that we all knew he would be, and he has been since day one. You can pick any couple week stretch for anybody, and it doesn't look too pretty. So Lane's been phenomenal in our clubhouse. He's a great person. We couldn't be more thankful that we have him on our team.
I'll finish up with Tyler on your right.
One of those roster questions I imagine that might have been tough was Ben Lively off the roster again. I mean, 29 starts for you. He did a nice job. Was he just sort of tiring at the end of the year, or what? Why is he not here?
That was, we like I said, we had a number of really hard decisions to make, and Ben had been phenomenal for us all year, super consistent. Just looking at the series and everything, we had to make a difficult decision, and leaving Ben off was not easy. Ben knows how we feel about him. It was one of those things that we just, when we got down to the last decision, it's what felt right.
All right, Stephen, thanks so much. Appreciate your time, and we'll welcome Emmanuel up here.
Emmanuel, you'll be pitching on the same mound where Mariano Rivera made a lot of his postseason memories. I've read that he's somebody you tried to model your game after, your movement, your cutter. What did he mean to you, and what did you learn watching him pitch?
Vas a pichar en el mismo montículo que muchos años pichó Mariano Rivera y muchos hemos leído las historias que tú lo has mirado ya cuando te hiciste un relevista. ¿Qué esperas hacer o qué esperas de esta experiencia de poder pichar en el mismo lugar donde Mariano pichó?
Nada, me siento en verdad muy contento, orgulloso, en verdad de venir a lanzar aquí, en este estadio. Es algo sensacional, nada, espero que tener los mismos resultados que he estado teniendo, seguir metiendo más.
I'm very happy to be here. I mean, it's really proud to be able to be in the same place that he was, and the focus is to keep executing the pitches the way I've been doing it. So that's basically my main goal.
Did you learn anything from watching his cutter, and is it true that when somebody first compared you to him, you didn't know who he was and had to read about his career?
¿Tú has aprendido algo de él o de la forma como él tira el cutter? Y es verdad que tú, la primera vez que te hablaron de él, tú no sabías quién era y luego fue que te tocó ver y aprender quién era Mariano Rivera.
En verdad, que te digo, no era que no sabía de él, yo sabía de él, pero como yo era abridor, yo me enfocaba mucho en Pedro Martínez, porque yo era abridor. Pero sí he aprendido mucho de él, tener coraje, paciencia, ¿me entiendes? A la vez, saber controlar mis emociones, he aprendido muchas cosas, en verdad.
Yeah, I mean, I knew who he was. It's not like I admired him when I was a starter. So once I become a reliever, then I started to digging more into what he does and the way how he handles things. And I think that's what I learned from him: his composure, how he handled the pressure, and how he's handled his emotions, especially in the situation that he came to pitch.
We'll stay on your right, Tyler, guys.
What are the biggest ways you've improved as a pitcher since you were traded from Texas?
¿Qué piensas que ha sido las mejores formas que tú has mejorado desde que te cambiaron a este equipo a nivel de picheo?
Nada, con el tiempo yo he aprendido, ¿qué te digo? He tenido muchas situaciones malas, he tratado siempre de mantenerme enfocado, tratar de seguir adelante, somos humanos, nos equivocamos, tratar de no hacer de más, ser quien yo soy, cada oportunidad, dar lo mejor de mí.
I feel it comes down to time, being able to put in practice everything that you're learning in the experience, right? Like I got a lot of failures and things to learn from while being here. So I think the key has been to put in practice all those lessons that I learned through the time and how to know myself a little more like as a pitcher.
And was there a moment when you knew that you had an elite cutter, and was there a person who taught it to you, or the time that you're like, this is going to be a good pitch for me?
¿Piensas que aquí fue un momento donde te diste cuenta que el cutter va a ser mi picheo, el que me va a permitir ser un pitcher élite, o si hubo alguien que te enseñó a tirar el cutter de la manera que lo tiras?
En verdad que todo el tiempo la bola se me ha movido, pero yo me di cuenta ya después, en verdad, que subí a Grandes Ligas, que empecé a hacer esos picheos y ver los resultados que tenía con ellos. Cuando yo atacaba a los bateadores, sea afuera, dentro, la de para arriba, o sea, la de abajo, corre para los pies, ¿me entiendes? Ya ahí me fui dando cuenta dónde yo le podía hacer daño a los bateadores y fui trabajando eso y gracias a Dios he podido sacarle buen resultado.
Yeah, I think historically my pitches always have a lot of movement when I was learning to be a pitcher. So I feel once I reached the major leagues, when I realized the actual effect that my cutter had, and then how I could use it in different situations, up, in and out, down and away, down and in. So I feel like what I mentioned earlier, like the learning myself and how to pitch, I feel here's when I learned how to use that cutter and when to use it. And I think that's what has made it be the special pitch that it is for me.
And last thing for me, when Cleveland traded for you, what were your impressions of the organization? What did you know about the Indians Guardians at that time?
Cuando te cambiaron a esta organización, ¿qué sabías de la organización o qué opinión tenías hasta ese momento de la organización?
Nada, de la organización yo sabía que era un buen equipo y me sentí muy contento en verdad de haber llegado aquí y dar lo mejor de mí, darle mejor apoyo. Me siento que muy cómodo, me he sentido muy cómodo aquí y aprovechado la oportunidad que me han dado.
I mean, I always knew they were a very competitive team, and I was really happy since I got here. I feel really welcomed, and throughout the time that I've been here, I feel really always comfortable. So I feel like ESB in the organization, the way how they treated me since day one.
Ron up front, guys.
Do you notice any different in your pitches and their movement when you're pitching 2-3 days in a row or 3 out of 4?
¿Sientes alguna diferencia en la forma como tus picheos se mueven cuando pichas 2 días seguidos o 3 de 4 días?
No, en verdad, ¿qué te digo? Ya cuando yo lanzo, o sea, tengo varios días lanzando, o sea, como yo me siento mucho más cómodo, más comando del picheo. Soy una gente, o sea, mi cuerpo se ha adaptado a esto, ¿verdad? Ya cuando tengo 2 o 3 días me voy sintiendo mucho más cómodo. O sea, que como que no me canso, siempre estoy positivo y dando lo mejor de mí.
I think somehow my body has adjusted to the rhythm of the season. So sometimes when I pitch 2 or 3 days in a row, I actually feel more comfortable. I feel I have more control and more execution on my pitches. So I don't know, it's kind of counterintuitive, but I feel more comfortable the more I pitch in a short period of time.
And with closers, obviously you come in the tight situations and adrenaline. Are you more pumped up when if you come in a 1-run game or a tie game than with a 3-run lead?
Sabes que a veces los cerradores vienen con mucha adrenalina. ¿Tú sientes que tienes un poquito más de adrenalina cuando vienes por una carrera de diferencia o de 3 o 4 carreras de diferencia cuando vienes a pichar?
¿Qué te digo? Sí, en verdad me siento mucho más cómodo cuando estamos ganando ya por 2 o 3 carreras, 4 carreras. Ya la adrenalina, como te digo, el juego es diferente. El juego es diferente porque hay juegos que se le quieren poner rápido a uno, pero uno tiene que saber controlar eso.
Yeah, I feel the adrenaline is a little higher when the game's closer. You get that sense of comfort when you get those 2-3 runs, and what I notice, like, you know, game tends to speed up a little bit when the game is closer. So kind of like my learning has been to control those emotions and stay focused when the games are a little closer.
Anything else for Emmanuel? All right, Emmanuel, thanks so much for coming in. Augie,
Thank you, guys.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, have a great series. Appreciate it.